1 in 10 Indians is a migrant worker of some kind or a migrant entrepreneur. A worker is not someone is someone who is engaged by someone else, but it is very common to see a migrant entrepreneur who sells vegetables, uh, sells a very good amount of uh, vegetables, so he's self-employed, and then he sleeps on the sidewalk or sleeps. He's one of the homeless people. So this is a very different kind of a phenomenon that we have here. They are mainly North Indians who come to Mumbai. They see it as a place to earn money and then go back to wherever they came from, usually Uttar Pradesh or sometimes even closer towns or smaller villages of our state. So India is this continent-sized or subcontinent-sized uh, population, which is constantly on the move. Uh, the COVID crisis has hit us very, very hard. Then again, it has not. So, in terms of deaths per million, something strange has been happening within the Indian subcontinent and neighboring regions. We seem to be having a rather low mortality rate compared to the rest of the world. I mean, India is up there in number two position, right behind USA. But for some strange reason, our mortality rate per million is 1/8, and our total cases seem to be in the region of 1/6 per million population. So there's something very funny going on here, and we have noticed, people have noticed. I would like to say this in the context of how badly housed most people in Mumbai are, and how badly housed most Indians in urban areas are. We really are, we have no concept of social distancing, and it is practically not possible to social distance. I would say about 60-70% of the population of urban India lives closely packed together in slums where houses are not more than 2 feet apart. Your front door is not more than 2 feet apart from the other guy. And each house is not larger than a 10 by 12 room. And you got 7, 8, 9, 10 people packed in. So if it were a pandemic that were ravaging us because of lack of social distancing, then I feel, and it has been noticed and observed, and it's a widely discussed fact that it would have been ravaging the slums, more particularly because they have shared toilets. You have one toilet per every 200-300 slum dwellers. So you can imagine what kind of hygienic conditions we have. Don't talk about washing hands. It doesn't exist. I mean, we wash hands, yes, but not with soap, not that way in the slums. Okay. So, face mask, social distancing, all those things are close to non existent. And don't even get me started on what it's like in the suburban railways. The suburban railways are absolutely jammed up right now. COVID crisis has hit us a lot less hard than I had anticipated or feared at the beginning of the crisis. I had personally expected there to be a lot of underreporting, and I'm a skeptic. Okay, I'm about as anti-establishment as they come. I don't see the bodies piling up on the streets. I don't see the bodies piling up in the hospitals. I don't see the body count rising alarmingly, but I am just voicing what is almost a mainstream belief in India. It's mainstream across economic demarcations, across demographics. The feeling is it doesn't hurt us all that much. We are not seeing mortality as uh, as high as anticipated. So the masks, yes, people are wearing masks. To some extent, they are sanitizing, but it is impossible to tell an Indian to, for example, I know how much we are taking lightly these things about temperature checks and face mask and sanitizing. We are taking it very, very, very lightly, and Indians in general are taking it very lightly.
And how do you see migration restarting in India?
Sure. So it has already reversed. It has already reversed, though not entirely. A lot of the people who fled, so to speak, because they were in stifling conditions. There were people living without income in small 10 by 10 rooms with poor ventilation, and they just fled when they ran out of money. They just walked home without water, without food. It's ridiculous the kind of hardships they went through. And they are back. A large number of them are back, and funnily enough, they are not bitter. In their head, they have sorted it out. They are very clear. They say it's not the pandemic. Their worry is not the pandemic. Their worry is not having an income, not having an occupation. They are very hardy people, more particularly the villagers and the small town people. They're very hardy people. They're not great physical specimens, but they're extremely hardy in mind and in heart. They don't have any bitterness. I'm amazed at the lack of bitterness that they have toward the administration. The administration threw them to the dogs. And you know what? People like me, the critics of the government, are much more bitter about it than the people who actually suffered by walking 1,000 miles in the hot sun with bad footwear or no footwear, traveled in hot trucks. It's ridiculous how little bitterness they have, and that is being borne out by the pattern of their votes. What I see going forward is in India, we have a very gung ho attitude to this whole thing, and it is, as I said, across demographics. We are very gung ho about it. Going forward, I don't think we are going to have much by way of restrictions and much by way of interstate travel. First of all, because interstate travel or travel from village to city and so on are absolutely the oxygen of our economy. There's no way the villages can survive without feeding off the economic movement that happens in the urban areas. And of course, vice versa, the products that come from rural areas to the urban area. There's absolutely no way we can do without their labor, and they can do without our resources and the economic movement. So the urban areas are the economic engines for the rural areas. It's not the farming. They are not self-sufficient. If you leave them, if you maroon a village, it just pretty much will die. So there's no way we can isolate, and I don't see this happening in any big way. I think all the governments, all the state governments and central government, and incidentally, the state government and central government are often at loggerheads in a situation which is very similar to a civil war like situation in some degree. In spite of that, there is a kind of a consensus, a general consensus, which is, boss, we can't do this any longer. We can't do this much longer.
Oh,
I think we are coming out already. We are unlocking, whether you want to call it a lockdown or not.